Okay, so I am back. So the first rule of Fight Club is, well, I'm not going to talk about that. But the first rule of Dungeons and Dragons is pencils. So we will be writing down things and erasing them and changing them and writing down new stuff a lot. As soon as you think something's permanent about your character and write it down in pen, we're going to need to change it. So pencils, so we can erase and write down something new. Lots of rules about Dungeons and Dragons. That's the first one. So we've got some time till the rest of them show up. Why don't we discuss the three pillars of Dungeons and Dragons? We've got social interaction, exploration, and combat. Those are not creative names. They're exactly what they sound like. So social interaction is any time your character socially interacts with another character, converses. So your character is normally going to be interacting with one of my NPCs, my non-player characters, a character not controlled by a player. But it could absolutely be interacting with one of the other player characters, the characters controlled by the other players here at the table. Could be either one. This is your opportunity to kind of immerse yourself into that character. You've been putting together in your head the personality, the motivations of your character in the moment. You know what kind of emotions they're feeling. They're angry, they're sad, they're scared. Maybe they're hungry or tired or hangry, right? And that's going to affect the way your character interacts with other characters, specifically the NPCs, who are also feeling angry or tired or something like that. And that interaction could lead to an NPC revealing a secret that you need or not revealing a secret that you need. It could be turning an ally into an enemy or an enemy into an ally. Maybe you get a great deal, maybe you get a terrible deal. Maybe they're like, I'm not going to make a deal with you at all. All right. So social interactions is a big part of the game, a lot of fun, and has a big impact on the game. You could go all the way to voices and mannerisms and stuff, or you could just do it by dialogue. That's up to you. Different players play different ways. So. The second pillar, exploration, is anytime your character is gathering information non-verbally. So your five senses, your hearing, seeing, touching, tasting, smelling. Right? And I'll give you those bits of information so you can fill that in for your character in your mind there. But it's really any time that you're traveling or searching, you're trying to find an NPC or you want to locate an item, you want to solve a puzzle, reveal a mystery, or discover a secret. Anytime you're indulging your curiosity, that's all exploration. Right? Then we have combat. Combat is what most people think of when they think of people playing Dungeons and Dragons. Lots of dice rolling, lots of rules, debates about rules, very structured. Very different than the other two pillars. Social interaction, not a lot of dice rolling in that. Maybe you're trying to persuade an NPC, do a persuasion check, or maybe you want to see if they're lying to you. You do an insight check. Maybe you're exploring and you need to see if you notice that sword sticking out of the stone. So you'll do an investigation check, but not a lot of dice rolls otherwise. It's a lot of conversation or description. And very loosey-goosey. We can play things by ear with social interaction and exploration. But combat, very structured, very dependent on dice rolls. And that's important. Otherwise, we're just saying, oh, I hit you. Oh, no, you didn't. It can be combative, between us, but it also gives us an opportunity to have that chance of loss that we talked about before. That anxiety about what's going to happen, right? And that's really what makes the game, it adds to the intensity of the game, makes it much more exciting. So all three, very important. And we will move from one to the other regularly, right? You talk to an NPC and you find out some information, and then you travel and explore to find the outcome of that information. Then you get in combat, while you're there, and then they say, wait. So now you're socially interacting again when they tell you, hey, I got a secret. So now you're exploring again to find that secret, and then maybe you explore and discover an item or another NPC, and then they turns into a combat situation. We will switch back and forth between the pillars a lot. They can even happen at the same time. Maybe you're in combat with an NPC, and then they socially interact by trying to convince you to stop fighting. And then while you're talking to them, you realize that their sword is a magical sword, and so you got exploration happening there too. So they can overlap. Very important. All three pillars very important to the game. Not one can stand on its own, and not one can really be lost. If you take out social interaction, there's no point in having a character, right? Then it's like the computer games. You got to have the social interaction, to gather information and things like that, and to play the character. Exploration. Without exploration, you can't go anywhere. You can't find any new things, and you can't find new people. So you're always staying in one place, fighting the same bad guys with the same gear. That's no fun. And then combat. Now, like I said, combat is absolutely essential because that's where things can really take a turn. So all three are very important. All three exist at all times. You might gravitate towards one or another. While you're playing, you might realize, I really enjoy this aspect of the game or that aspect of the game. I'm not a big fan of that one. And that's good to know. As you're playing, pay attention. Which pillars speak to you, which ones don't. And we can modify and control the game so that it moves one way or the other depending on what the party likes and dislikes. We can't get rid of all of them, and we can't avoid. We have to have each of them at some point, but some of them can be more support roles while we focus on another one. And also some games, some campaigns might lean one way or the other. Certainly encounters might be very heavy. Find this thing or convince that NPC or beat that bad guy. So there, the encounters can certainly be very dependent on one pillar or another, but they're always all going to be there in one way or another. Okay. So the lady of the house would like a word. So go ahead and flip through the books, play with the dice, roll them around a little bit, have a good time while I'll be right back.